Today we're making puppy chow. I know what you're thinking, puppy chow, that's weird. It's like a dog treat. It's not. I promise you, it is the best treat I've ever had. I cannot live without this treat, and that's a big statement. Puppy chow follows a basic recipe that can be altered to obtain different flavors, and this will give you a tasty treat that can be tailored to any occasion. This is one of my absolute favorite recipes that I've made more times than I can count. I make this recipe for just about any occasion that I can think of. I've made probably 10 or so different combinations of puppy chow, which I'm going to explain shortly. This is a simple, quick, and crowd-pleasing recipe that will be your new go-to recipe. I'm going to explain the recipe that I'm using in the demonstration. I'll demonstrate the specific steps to make the perfect puppy chow while explaining how you can alter this basic recipe to personalize your puppy chow. So the first step is to choose a recipe. There's one basic template that every puppy chow recipe follows. Every recipe will include a type of chocolate, a type of flavored extract, butter or oil, and powdered sugar. From there, you can add many different ingredients to alter your puppy chow to give it a different flavor and personalize to whatever occasion you need it for. So for example, Tasty by BuzzFeed has several yummy alterations on the classic puppy chow recipe. Some of them use white chocolate instead of semi-sweet. They use different flavors of extract like almond extract or milk extract. They'll include different add-ins such as Andes mint candy, M&Ms, or sprinkles. It'll give it a different look and a different flavor. The recipe that I'm using for this demonstration is just the classic puppy chow recipe because it's going to be the easiest for me to demonstrate with this recipe because it follows that basic template of ingredients. I've made this specific recipe more times than I can count, and today I'll be using the recipe from a blogger, Cooking with Libby. She has 6 basic ingredients on here. So after you've chosen the recipe, the next step would be to gather all of your ingredients. And for this recipe, like I said, I'll need 6 ingredients. This includes rice Chex cereal, vanilla extract, semi-sweet chocolate chips, peanut butter, and I'm going to mention here, I typically use the creamy sweetened peanut butter, not the one that's just all natural, just peanuts. I think it tastes better. And it also calls for unsalted butter, but in this recipe, I'm going to just substitute for coconut oil because that's what I have in my house at the time, and it's easy to do that with recipes. And then the last ingredient is powdered sugar. So sometimes it helps to measure out your ingredients ahead of time. If you like to be more efficient like that, I prefer it that way. And so I've measured out my Chex, and I've also measured out my chocolate chips, my peanut butter, and my vanilla extract, and the coconut oil. So this recipe usually calls, this specific recipe calls for an entire box of Chex cereal. So that's about 12 cups of cereal. However, from personal experience, I like to half the amount of cereal that I'm going to use in order to make the final product more chocolatey and thick. So I'm going to use half the amount that it calls for. So that's about 6 cups. So first you're going to measure out your Chex cereal and put it in a big mixing bowl. So I've measured 6 cups of Chex cereal into this bowl. After you measure the cereal, you can measure the chocolate chips. So the chocolate chips, peanut butter, vanilla extract, and butter, or like I said, coconut oil for this recipe, you'll put them all together in a microwave-safe bowl. And you're going to microwave this bowl on high in 30-second increments until it's completely melted and looks chocolatey like this. You don't want to burn the chocolate in this step, so that's why I said do it in 30-second increments and stir it frequently so that the chocolate specifically doesn't get too burned. So once they are completely melted, you are going to pour this mixture in with your cereal. So you're going to have it so that it covers the entire cereal, like so. And you want to make sure that the cereal is completely covered. You're just going to mix it together. So right now I'm mixing. You want your cereal to be completely covered in the chocolate because it's actually going to taste better. And the powdered sugar that we're going to add in the next step is going to stick better if you make sure that the cereal is totally covered. Now if you find that you have a bunch of excess wet ingredients, you can add just a little bit more cereal, which I found here. I just have a little bit too much chocolate, and you want it to be covered but also not doused in chocolate. So I did forget to mention that you're going to need a plastic bag, because after you've covered the cereal with the wet ingredients, you're going to pour the powdered sugar into a gallon-sized plastic bag. So this calls for 2 cups of powdered sugar. Now, I am not specific about how much powdered sugar I do. I don't think it matters. I think you can eyeball it. So I start with a good chunk, and I just add more until it's exactly how I want it to be. So I'm going to make sure this is nice and covered, and then I'm going to put my cereal, you pour the cereal mixture into this plastic bag. I know this is weird, but trust me, it's going to be so good. We just have to get there. So once you've poured it into the plastic bag, you're going to seal the bag. That's an important step. And you're going to shake the bag vigorously until the powdered sugar is dispersed among all the cereal. And you may need to add more powdered sugar than what's called for in order to completely cover the cereal. It just kind of depends on how you like it. I like it totally covered. And sometimes the recipe, because there's all these different alterations in the recipe, it just depends. So at different points in this, if you had a different recipe, you could have added different ingredients in order to make it a different flavor, and it would have called for that in the recipe. So once this final step is complete of shaking the bag, again, you might need to shake it vigorously, and you might need to shake it for a while just to make sure that the powdered sugar is completely dispersed. So the final product should be completely white when you're finished shaking the bag, like so. And once this step is complete, the Puppy Chow is ready to serve. I like to store my Puppy Chow in the freezer because I think it tastes so good when it's cold. So it should be ready. Let's taste test. Definitely ready. So, like I said, Puppy Chow follows a basic recipe that can be altered to taste and to occasion. There are tons of recipes on the internet that you can follow while using my tips from this demonstration on how to get the perfect Puppy Chow. Anyone, including you, can make this recipe because it's so simple, and that's what I love about it. Puppy Chow is the best recipe because it allows a baker to have creative freedom in creating personalized variations on this basic recipe. Once again, this is the best go-to recipe for any occasion. I promise you will be the star of the show when you walk into the party with this snack. I made this last Christmas with my peppermint candies in there. There was peppermint extract. So good. People loved it. You're going to be the star of the show, and you are going to be the best treat maker. Enjoy and have fun. Thanks.